Hey folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. I'm going to try to keep this short tonight. You know, sometimes when I make these late night Saturday videos, I kind of drag on a little while. And I'm going to really do my best to make this one short because there's really only one main thing that I want to talk about for the most part. Just some announcements. This coming Sunday is our big monthly meeting, so just wanted to get that out there. You need to come if at all possible. We've got a big announcement. I mean, it's not top secret, I can tell you now, but definitely try to come to that. We're going to be talking about, it'll be more of an open forum, I guess, type of meeting where, you know, there'll be a few people talking and an open mic for anyone that wants to comment. Kind of almost like a town hall, sort of. But we're talking about just our personal security in light of things that's happened over the last couple of weeks. And then just the kind of the change in, what's going on in the world. But that's a good reason to definitely come to our monthly meeting. But then I'm going to go ahead and start now, the 26th of October. You need to mark that down. I know some of you travel a bit of a distance to come to our meetings, and I assure you that if there's any meeting for you to come to this year, October 26th is the one to be at. We've got several people flying in from out of town, out of state, to come and speak at this meeting. We're going to be heavily focused on the new gold and silver legislation that has passed in Missouri, but really focused on how to put that into action. And I'm not going to go into details, because I know a lot of you aren't in Missouri, but just to say this, that the gold and silver bill that was passed recently and signed into law here in Missouri is by far, leaps and bounds, the very best gold and silver legislation ever passed by any state. It protects your gold and silver from seizure. It puts all the needed things into place to make it for commerce. And so that's what this is we've got some people that work in this, and they're coming in and they're going to start teaching Missourians how to implement this in their commerce and getting businesses signed up to accept it and to teach them how to accept it. And there will be some free giveaways. You don't have to pay anything to do it. There'll be free giveaways of actual real gold and silver at that meeting. October the 26th, I'll be giving you more information as we get closer to it, but that's certainly a big meeting to attend. So I just want to throw that out there at you. All right, so this is becoming a common theme, or at least a common thing that I say in a video. A lot of things have happened, right? A lot of things have been happening. It's like I've been telling you, it's just almost day-to-day stuff that's going on, that's spiraling, that's getting bigger, that's getting worse. It is pointing us to a direction that we should not be, joyful about us going, at least for the most part. Yes, I am for kind of a, I don't know, people, I get negative comments when I say this, but kind of a culling of the herd. But that's just my, opinion. But anyways, things are worsening, and we need to be aware of that. There's things like today, gold hit another record high. It's broke above $3,800 today. It's like 38.20 something. Silver, over $44 an ounce. I mean, silver's getting really close to an all-time record high. Most likely, unless something changes, it's going to break that probably before the end of the year. I mean, we could easily see $50+ an ounce silver by the end of the year. We could easily see maybe $5,000 an ounce gold by the end of the year. I mean, at the first of the year, I wasn't sure that was possible, but the way things are happening now, yeah, I mean, I think it is. Which means that the dollar's losing its value based on gold. And the increase in gold in the last 12 months, U.S. currency, based on that alone, has lost about 40% of its value. That's significant. Things are happening in a bad way. You can listen to all the lies all you want all day long about how gas prices are down and energy prices are down and food costs are down, when the truth is it's exactly the opposite. Gas prices have gone back up. Energy prices are the highest that they've ever been. Electricity and stuff like that's the highest it's ever been. Food prices, some of it's the highest it's ever been. It's all up. It's all been going up. But there's other big things. And right now, at least in the last 24 hours, the big focus seems to be back again on Russia and the war there. Yes, there's other things. I know that the president announced a new reason for autism. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's a contributing factor with a lot of things. I think a big thing is just genetics and the fact that they give children way too much and probably any at all of pokey pokes. But and that's that. But not trying to get into the science of that. I think a lot of that is distraction. I really do. I think that's a big distraction for things. We'll see. We'll see if the science actually shows that. There's a whole lot of scientists out there saying that this is crazy, but they were also the scientists saying that COVID was real and that you should take the pokey poke. So who knows? We're at the point you can't trust anyone. But anyways, before I get too far off course, Russia seems to have changed, or at least the conflict with Russia, it's changed gears once again. Even in the last week or two, the president has made statements basically kind of blaming Ukraine. Well, Ukraine shouldn't have got into this mess. Ukraine shouldn't have started a war with Russia. And I'm no friend or fan of Ukraine by any stretch of the means, but the facts is that this actual conflict started when Russia invaded it. Yes, Ukraine, along with the United States, was playing some real dirty ball with Russia and encroaching upon them and all that kind of stuff in violations of all kinds of agreements. 100% that did happen. And then Ukraine was terrorizing Russian people in Ukraine. But the actual war started when Russia invaded Ukraine. And so up until just recently, the president has seemed to be very favorable towards Putin and Russia and against Ukraine. Well, that seems to have drastically changed. He went to the United Nations. He talked about how he's very disappointed in Vladimir Putin and thought that this could end sooner. And now he's come out saying that he believes that the European Union and Ukraine can easily defeat Russia, of course, with the United States' help. He called Russia a paper tiger. And he said that NATO should be shooting down any drone or plane that flies into their airspace. The Pentagon has made statements that what Russia is doing is wrong and they need to be stopped, and that they seem to be trying to encroach upon NATO territory. Ukraine has launched some major attacks into Russia. And Russian news, although I'll admit it's not always very reliable, but Russian news is reporting that there is word that the United States is in the process of planning a direct confrontation attack with Russia in the near future. And so things all of a sudden after this UN visit and the fact that it's come out in the last several days that Putin basically believed after that meeting with Trump in Alaska that, Trump was not that involved in this and that he wasn't that strong on this issue of Ukraine and Russia, and that Russia could defeat Ukraine because Trump was not going to be strong on this one. That's probably offended Donald Trump, and that with whatever has taken place at the United Nations or any of those people, it does appear that Trump is ready to go all in once again. So we'll see what happens. But the word on the street is that things are about to start changing. He accused India today, who's still trying to act like they're our friend, that if it wasn't for India, Russia wouldn't be able to do this. It's India's fault that Russia has the money to wage this war because of their purchasing of Russian oil. And so things are probably going to start taking a different turn, because we've kind of flip-flopped once again back to Russia's the bad guy and we got to support Ukraine and take them out. And of course, this all is going on while the president says that we're going to take back Bagram Air Force Base or Bagram Base in Afghanistan, which Russia is an ally now of Afghanistan, and China has a lot of allegiances there, and the Taliban is even talking about turning that air base over to China, not the United States. And then of course there's also us with what we're doing with Iran, who is an ally of Russia and China, and then of course Venezuela, who is a very close ally of China and Russia. So like I've said all along, all this stuff that we're seeing are simply just proxy wars of a bigger global war that is kind of taking place in the shadows. But it's very possible and likely that at some point that shadow World War III will become out into the sunlight and it'll be a full-on confrontation. Are we close to that? Maybe, maybe not. With Russia, what appears to be Russia, flying drones and planes into NATO airspace numerous times now. There's a possibility that it happened again today, although Russia's denying that, or maybe it was yesterday. It does appear from the State Department and the Defense Department, or the Department of War, I guess, that they believe that Russia is doing this and that Russia is purposely incurring on NATO airspace. And so it would not take too much at this point, I think, to get an Article 5. And at that point, you've got NATO, who's just faunching at the bit to fight against Russia. And then, of course, you've got the United States involved. So the point to this video of throwing all this random information at you is that it's quite possible that over a period of the next couple of weeks, we could see something happen. Here's my little somewhat analysis. If I was NATO leaders, and we wanted to deal with Russia, but we know we can't do it unless we have the United States solidly backing us, which means you have to have Trump solidly backing you. And here lately, it sounded like Trump was a little weak on that. And then all of a sudden right now, whatever's happened, Trump sounds very, very strong on his support of NATO and Ukraine. It's quite possible that an attack, a false flag attack, could happen, taking advantage of that moment, because if these NATO leaders, they know the same things you do, they see the same things that you and I do, plus a lot more. But if Trump kind of flip-flopping back and forth, they might say, because this is what I'd be saying, hey, he's openly talking about how he supports us now, we better take advantage of the moment, because in 2 or 3 weeks he could be flip-flopped back again on supporting Putin. Putin could want to do some meeting and praise him and make him look like he's important. Trump's important, so we'd lose his support again. I don't know. It's just a random thought, but I think we need to be continually prepared for this. This is not going away anytime too soon. And it is already affecting us, but it's simply by the fact that we have put so much into this debt and military equipment, even to the point now, it was announced just the other day that we're going to have to cut back or stop our shipments of Patriot missile systems to Eastern Europe, because we have depleted so many Patriot missile systems into Ukraine that we don't have any. We don't have enough to share. And so we can't be sending anymore because we've depleted so much of ours. That whole little war between Israel and Iran, the weapons that we sent over there depleted our supply by 20%. So it is costing us a lot. The military industrial complex is making a lot of money. The banks are making a lot of money, but it's making us weaker, and that's a dangerous place for us, especially the times that we live in. We've also got this report that Al-Qaeda, out of all this time that we haven't heard of Al-Qaeda, all of a sudden now, Al-Qaeda supposedly has some threat that they're going to, do something here on U.S. soil, possibly even some kind of 9/11 style event. So there's just a lot happening in matters of conflict. So, you need to be prepping up for certain. You need to be making sure that your stuff's ready to go. You need to be keeping your head on a swivel. I wouldn't go places that you don't need to go, and make sure you're protected in the best way possible wherever you go. And if you can, don't go alone. Especially in like big city areas. You know what I'm saying. If you live in a small little rural community, that's different. But you know what I'm saying. For those of you that live in big cities and areas that there could be dangerous anyways, well, maybe you should be a little bit more in heightened alert, because things just are kind of that way right now. And then, of course, also the Charlie Kirk stuff and all the aftermath of that. There's just a lot happening. And I know I'm just throwing a lot at you, but it's getting serious, and you need to be preparing yourselves and being very alert right now, because there's just too many random things going on that's not random at all, but it may look that way. And it's all kind of lining up for, some type of event or conflict or something that kind of pushes us over the edge. And I think that's what, a lot of people are wanting. People like Palantir and stuff like that. They want the excuse to unleash their, spying network system on the American people. So be ready for that kind of stuff, and continually be getting your houses in order, preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.